The morning shift at the cargo dock started like any other day. Jake Morrison walked through the metal corridors of the space station, his work boots making soft sounds on the floor. He had been working here for 3 years now, loading and unloading cargo from ships that came and went. The pay was good enough, and he liked the quiet life away from Earth's crowded cities. The station sat on the edge of human space, a place where different species met to trade and refuel their ships. Jake had seen many aliens during his time here, but he mostly kept to himself and did his job. He was not looking for trouble or adventure. He just wanted to earn his money and live in peace. That morning, he finished loading a shipment of mining equipment onto a transport vessel. The ship's captain signed the delivery papers and left. Jake wiped the sweat from his face and decided to take his break. He walked toward the back of Bay 7, where there was a quiet spot he liked to sit and drink his coffee. That was when he saw them. 2 small figures were crouched behind the waste disposal units, picking through thrown-away food containers. At first, Jake thought they might be human children who got lost. But as he got closer, he realized they were not human at all. They were aliens. Their skin had a silver-blue color that caught the light. Their eyes were large and purple, and their features were delicate and small. Jake recognized them from the basic training all dock workers received. They were Valari, a species known for being peaceful and intelligent. But these two looked nothing like the proud Valari diplomats he had seen on news broadcasts. These two were painfully thin. Their clothes were torn and dirty. The smaller one was crying softly, her whole body shaking. The older girl noticed Jake first. She immediately stepped in front of the smaller girl, trying to protect her. Her purple eyes went wide with fear. She looked ready to run, but also too weak to move fast. Jake stopped walking and raised his hand slowly to show he meant no harm. He did not want to scare them more than they already were. "Hey, it's okay," he said in a gentle voice. "I'm not going to hurt you." The older girl did not move. She kept watching him with those big, frightened eyes, her thin arms wrapped around the smaller girl, holding her close. "Are you hungry?" Jake asked. The younger girl made a small sound, almost like a whimper. She clutched at her sister's torn sleeve. Jake could see that she was very young, maybe 7 or 8 years old if he compared her to human children. Her face was so thin that he could see the bones underneath. Tears ran down her cheeks, leaving clean tracks through the dirt on her face. "When did you two last eat?" Jake asked the older girl. The older girl hesitated. She looked like she wanted to lie, to say everything was fine. But her sister made another hungry sound, and the older girl's face crumbled a little. Pride fought with desperation in her expression. 3 days, she finally said in accented but clear English. "Maybe 4. I lose count." Jake felt something tight in his chest. No child should go that long without food. No one should have to dig through garbage just to survive. "Come with me," he said. "I'll get you something to eat." "We have no money," the older girl said quickly. Her chin lifted despite how weak she clearly was. "I cannot pay you, but I can offer myself instead." Jake felt like someone had punched him in the stomach. This girl could not be more than 16 years old, and she was offering herself to a complete stranger, just to get food for her sister. "I am healthy," the girl continued, her voice shaking but determined. "I can work. I can clean. I can do whatever you need. Just please help my sister, please, she is dying." The words came out desperate and broken. Jake could see in her eyes that she knew exactly what she might be agreeing to. She knew what some people might demand from her. And she was willing to do it anyway, just to save her little sister. "No," Jake said firmly. The older girl flinched like he had hit her. "No, you don't have to do that," Jake continued quickly. "Nobody should have to do that. Listen to me. I'm going to get you both some food. No payment. No conditions. Just food, okay?" The older girl stared at him like he was speaking a language she did not understand. Confusion and suspicion mixed on her face. She had clearly learned not to trust kindness from strangers. "Why?" she asked. "What do you want?" "I don't want anything," Jake said. "I just want to help. That's all." The younger girl whimpered again, and the older girl looked down at her. Jake could see the exact moment when she made her decision. She was too desperate to refuse, even if she did not understand or trust his motives. "Okay," she whispered. Jake led them through the station toward the cafeteria. He walked slowly because he could see that both girls were weak from hunger. Other dock workers passed them in the corridors. Some stared at the 2 alien girls with curiosity. Others looked at them with disgust or suspicion. Jake moved to walk between the girls and the other workers, blocking them from view. He did not like the way some people were looking at them. He did not like the way this station had let 2 children starve without anyone helping them. The cafeteria was mostly empty at this time of morning. Most workers had already eaten breakfast and started their shifts. Jake was glad for the privacy. He guided the 2 girls to a corner booth where they would not be easily seen. "Wait here," he said. "I'll be right back," the older girl nodded. She pulled the younger one close and whispered something in their own language. The younger girl nodded and stayed quiet, though her eyes kept looking toward the food service area where Jake was going. Jake went to the counter and ordered 2 trays of food. He got protein bars, hot soup, fresh bread, and synthesized fruit. He got extra portions of everything. The server gave him a strange look but did not ask questions. When Jake returned to the booth with the trays, the younger girl's eyes went so wide they seemed to take up half her face. She reached for the food immediately, but the older girl grabbed her hand and stopped her. "Easy," Jake warned as he set down the trays. "You haven't eaten in days. If you eat too fast, you'll get sick. Your stomach needs time to adjust." The older girl translated quietly in their language. The younger one nodded, but her hand still shook as she reached for a piece of bread. She took a small bite and closed her eyes. Tears started running down her face again, but this time they seemed like tears of relief rather than pain. Jake sat down across from them and watched them eat. He made sure they went slowly, reminding them to take small bites and sips. The older girl ate with careful control, like she was used to rationing every scrap of food. The younger one tried to copy her sister but struggled with her hunger. "I'm Jake, by the way," he said after a few minutes.
"Jake Morrison." The older girl looked up from her soup.
Some of the fear had left her eyes, replaced by cautious gratitude. "I am Kira," she said. "This is my sister, Lena." "Nice to meet you both," Jake said. Lena looked at him and gave him a small, shy smile before returning to her food. It was the first time Jake had seen her expression as anything other than fear or hunger. "How did you end up here?" Jake asked Kira. "If you don't mind telling me." Kira was quiet for a long moment. She took a sip of her soup and seemed to be deciding how much to tell him. Finally, she began to speak. "Our world was caught in the war," she said softly. "The Kryn attacked our colony. Everything happened so fast. There was fire and explosions. People were screaming. Our parents put us on an evacuation ship with hundreds of other refugees." She paused and looked at Lena, who was focused on her food, but listening. "The ship was too crowded," Kira continued. "There was not enough room for everyone, but people kept pushing on board anyway. We got separated from our parents in the chaos. One moment they were right behind us, and the next moment they were gone. The ship left before we could find them again." Jake felt a cold anger building in his chest. He could imagine the scene, the panic and fear, families being torn apart. "The ship's captain was not a good person," Kira said, her voice getting harder. "He had taken bribes to let people onto the ship. But once we were away from our planet, he demanded more money. People who could not pay were thrown off at refueling stations. We were just children with no money and no parents to protect us. So he left us behind." "That's illegal," Jake said. "That's trafficking and abandonment." "Yes," Kira agreed. "But who would listen to 2 alien children? Who would care? We tried to report it, but no one would help us. So we learned to hide. We moved from station to station, stealing food when we could, sleeping in maintenance tunnels and empty cargo bays. Sometimes kind people gave us scraps, but it was never enough." She looked at Lena and her expression became pained. "Lena is still growing. She needs more food than I can find. I have watched her get thinner and weaker every day. I have heard her cry from hunger pains at night. I would do anything to keep her alive, anything." The word hung in the air between them, heavy with meaning. Jake understood now why Kira had made that desperate offer earlier. She had been watching her sister slowly starve to death and felt completely helpless. "How long have you been on your own?" Jake asked. 6 months, Kira said. Maybe 7. Time blurs together when every day is just about surviving. Jake shook his head. 6 months these 2 children had been alone, hungry and scared. 6 months of adults walking past them and doing nothing. The thought made him sick. "Listen," he said, leaning forward. "You can't keep living like this. It's not safe." The first few days were strange for everyone. Jake's apartment was small but clean, with 2 bedrooms, a basic kitchen, and a living area with a view of the station's central hub. He gave the spare bedroom to Kira and Lena, and they seemed amazed to have a real bed to sleep in. But Kira did not relax. She stayed tense and watchful all the time. Whenever Jake entered the room, she would position herself between him and Lena. If he moved too quickly or made a sudden sound, she would flinch. At night, Jake could hear Lena crying out in her sleep, screaming words in her own language that sounded like she was calling for her parents. Jake gave them space. He did not push them to talk or force them to be comfortable around him. He just made sure they had what they needed. He showed Kira how to use the food synthesizer in the kitchen, explaining which buttons to press to get different meals. Then he gave her the access code so she could get food whenever Lena was hungry. Kira stared at him when he did this. "You trust us alone in your home?" she asked. "With your things? With access to your food? Why wouldn't I?" Jake replied. "You're not going to steal from me. You need this place." Kira had no answer to that. But Jake noticed that over the next few days, her shoulders started to lose some of their constant tension. She began to believe that maybe, just maybe, this human actually meant what he said. By the end of the first week, Lena looked better. Her face was not so thin anymore. The hollow look in her cheeks was starting to fill out. She smiled more often, though she was still shy around Jake. She became very interested in his datapad, the electronic device he used for work and entertainment. Jake downloaded some educational programs for her, simple games that taught math and languages. Even though some of the content was in English and hard for her to understand fully, she learned incredibly fast. She would sit for hours working through problems and lessons, absorbing information like someone who had been denied learning for too long. Kira, meanwhile, could not sit still. She needed to feel useful. She cleaned the apartment constantly, organizing everything she could find. She went through Jake's messy storage closets and put everything in order. She even tried to cook meals using the synthesizer, attempting to recreate traditional Valari dishes with the limited ingredients available. Jake understood what she was doing. She was trying to prove her worth, to justify her presence in his home. She had offered herself in exchange for help, and even though he had refused her offer, she still felt like she owed him something. One evening, Jake came home from his shift at the docks to find Kira waiting by the door. She had a serious, almost worried expression on her face. "We need to talk about the arrangement," she said formally. Jake sighed and set down his work bag. "Kira, I already told you that you don't owe me anything." "Please," she interrupted. "Let me speak. I am grateful for everything you have done, more grateful than I can say in words. You have given us food and shelter and safety. But I cannot simply take these things without giving anything back. It is not right. It is not how I was raised. You have given us so much. I must contribute something." Jake looked at her determined face and realized that arguing was pointless. Pride was one of the few things she had left. Taking that away from her would be cruel, even if he meant well. "Okay," he said slowly. "How about this? I'll get you registered with the station's education program. There's a system for young people who don't have regular schools. You can study online and get certified in different skills. Once you're trained, you can get a real job and start earning your own money. If it makes you feel better, you can contribute to the household expenses." Kira blinked in surprise. She had clearly not expected this answer. "You would pay for my education?" she asked. "Even though we are not related? Even though we are not even the same species?" "Think of it as an investment," Jake said. "You're smart, Kira. You learned English somehow. You've kept yourself and your sister alive through terrible situations. You deserve a chance to do more than just survive." Kira's careful control cracked for just a moment. Her eyes became wet with tears and she quickly wiped them away. "Thank you, Jake Morrison. I will not disappoint you. I will work hard and make you proud." "You already make me proud," Jake said honestly. "You've done something incredibly hard. You've taken care of your sister and kept her safe. That takes real strength." Over the next few weeks, a routine developed. Jake worked his shifts at the cargo docks during the day. Kira attended virtual classes on the datapad, studying everything from station systems to different alien cultures. Lena continued her own education, and she turned out to be especially good at math and learning new languages. The apartment that had once been quiet and lonely became something different. It became a home. There were voices and laughter. There was the smell of Kira's cooking experiments, some successful and some not. There were Lena's drawings stuck to the refrigerator with magnetic clips. Jake found himself hurrying home after his shifts instead of stopping at the station bar like he used to. He looked forward to seeing what Kira had learned that day, or hearing about Lena's progress in her studies. He liked coming home to people who were glad to see him. His co-workers noticed the change. Some of them asked questions. When Jake explained that he was helping 2 refugee children, the reactions were mixed. Some thought he was crazy. They warned him about legal problems, about the complications of harboring unregistered aliens. They said he was asking for trouble. Others were more supportive. His friend Danny Cooper, who worked in Bay 3, quietly offered his help if Jake ever needed it. "You're doing something good," Danny told him during a break one day. "Don't let anyone make you feel bad about it. Those kids needed someone and you stepped up. That takes courage, but not everyone was kind." Some workers looked at Kira and Lena with suspicion or disgust when they saw them in the public areas of the station. Jake heard whispers behind his back, ugly suggestions about why a single man would take in 2 alien girls. The whispers got back to the station administration. 3 weeks after Kira and Lena moved in, Jake was called to the office of Station Administrator Helen Price. Helen was a stern woman in her 50s with gray hair and sharp eyes. She sat behind her desk and studied Jake with an expression that gave nothing away. "Morrison," she said, "I've received reports that you're housing 2 unregistered Valari minors in your apartment." Jake kept his face neutral. "I'm providing temporary help to 2 refugee children while working on getting them properly documented." "Temporary help," Helen repeated. Her tone suggested she did not quite believe him. "You're aware that there are official procedures for this? Refugee services, proper channels, legal protocols?" "I am," Jake said. "I'm also aware that those services are backed up for months. These kids were starving when I found them. I made a decision to help them immediately, rather than watch them die while waiting for paperwork." Helen drummed her fingers on her desk. The sound was loud in the quiet office. She studied Jake for a long moment and he could not tell what she was thinking. Finally, she sighed. "Look, Morrison, I understand the impulse. Nobody wants to see children suffering. But you've put yourself in a difficult legal position. If something goes wrong, if they get hurt or sick, or if they run away, you could be held responsible. The station could be held responsible. I understand the risks," Jake said. "Do you?" Helen leaned forward. "Because I'm not just talking about legal liability. You're a single human male housing 2 alien girls. You don't think people are going to talk? You don't think questions are going to be asked about your motivations?" Jake felt anger flash through him, but he kept it under control. His voice stayed calm and level. "My motivation is to help 2 kids who had no one else. If people want to make it into something dirty, that says more about them than it does about me." Helen was quiet again. She studied him carefully, as if trying to see into his mind and judge his character. Then she nodded slowly. "All right," she said. "I'll push through emergency guardian status for you. That will give you legal cover while we work on long-term arrangements. But Morrison, you need to get those girls properly registered and into the system. I can't protect you forever if you're operating outside official channels." "Understood," Jake said. "Thank you, Administrator." "Don't thank me yet," Helen said. "This is going to be complicated. There will be interviews and inspections. Social workers will want to evaluate the living situation. You're going to have people watching your every move." "I can handle it," Jake said. "I hope so," Helen replied, "because those girls are depending on you. Don't let them down." Jake left the office feeling the weight of responsibility settling more firmly on his shoulders. This was not going to be easy. There would be bureaucracy and suspicion and judgment. But he had made a commitment and he was not going to back out now. When he got home that evening, both Kira and Lena were waiting for him. Kira looked worried, like she could sense something had happened. "Is everything okay?" she asked. "You look troubled." Jake decided to be honest. "I had to meet with the station administrator today. About you 2 living here. There's going to be some official procedures we have to go through to make everything legal." Kira's face went pale. "Are we going to be taken away? Sent to a refugee camp?" "No," Jake said firmly. "No, that's not going to happen. I'm working on getting emergency guardian status approved." That 3 months passed. Life settled into something that felt almost normal. Kira finished her first certification in station systems operation and started applying for entry-level jobs. She studied hard every day, determined to prove herself. Lena's nightmares became less frequent, though they still happened sometimes. When they did, Kira would hold her and whisper gentle words until the fear passed. Jake found himself enjoying the company more than he had expected. The apartment felt alive now instead of empty. He came home to voices and activity. Kira's cooking had improved a lot, and she had figured out how to make several Volari dishes taste good with station food. Lena's laughter filled the rooms, a sound that had been rare at first but was now common. Lena even made a friend. A human girl named Sophie from one of her virtual learning groups lived 3 levels down. The 2 girls started studying together sometimes, and Sophie's mother seemed nice enough, not bothered by the fact that Lena was an alien. But the past had a way of catching up to people. Jake noticed small changes in Kira's behavior. She started checking the arrival logs every day, scanning through the list of ships that docked at the station. Her eyes would search for particular names or registry numbers. Whenever certain types of ships arrived, she would become tense and quiet. Jake noticed but did not push her to explain. He figured she would tell him when she was ready. The crisis came on a Thursday evening. Jake was in the kitchen preparing dinner when Kira burst through the door. Her face was white with terror. She was dragging a confused Lena behind her. "We have to leave," Kira said urgently. Her voice was shaking. "Now, tonight, we cannot stay here anymore." Jake immediately went into alert mode. "What happened? Are you hurt? Is someone after you?" "I saw him," Kira said. Her whole body was trembling. "The captain, the one who abandoned us. His ship docked this morning. The Broken Star, he is here on the station." Jake felt anger surge through him. "The one who dumped you at that refueling station?" Kira nodded frantically. "If he sees us, if he recognizes us, he will know we survived. He might think we can identify him, that we can report him to authorities. He might try to silence us, or he might simply finish what he started and throw us into space. We have to run." Lena started to cry. She did not understand everything, but she knew they were in danger. The fear in her sister's voice was enough to terrify her. Jake knelt down to Lena's level. He kept his voice calm and steady. "Hey, Lena, it's going to be okay. Nobody's going to hurt you. I promise you that." He looked up at Kira. "We're not running. This is your home now, but we are going to be smart about this. First, I need you to tell me everything you remember about this captain. His name, what species he is, what his ship looks like, everything." Kira took a deep breath, trying to force herself to think clearly through her panic. "His name is Vex. He is Torvan, one of the reptilian species. Scales and cold eyes. His ship is a modified freighter called the Broken Star. He has maybe 10 crew members. He operates in gray markets, transporting cargo and passengers who do not want to use official channels." "Good," Jake said. "Now I need you both to stay here with the door locked. Don't answer for anyone except me. I'm going to make some calls and get help." "Jake, no," Kira protested. Her voice was sharp with fear. "You cannot confront him. He is dangerous. He has killed before. I am certain of it. I saw things on that ship. Things that made me understand what kind of person he is." "I'm not going to confront him," Jake assured her. "I'm going to report him through proper channels. Trafficking refugees, extortion, child endangerment. He's committed serious crimes. Station security will be interested in him. But I need you to stay safe while I handle this." Kira looked torn. She wanted to argue, but she also knew that Jake was right. Running would not solve anything. Vex would still be out there, still be a threat. "Please be careful," she finally said. "Always am." Jake replied with more confidence than he felt. He left the apartment and immediately called Danny Cooper. He explained the situation quickly, his words short and direct. Danny did not hesitate. "I'll start asking around," Danny said. "Vex the Torvan captain. Someone will know him. We can find out what he's hauling and whether security has any reason to investigate him already." Jake's second call was to station security. A tired-looking officer named Lieutenant Karen Mills took his statement. She listened carefully as he explained about Kira and Lena's abandonment 7 months ago. "This happened 7 months ago?" Lieutenant Mills asked. "And you're just reporting it now?" "The victims were in hiding because they were terrified," Jake explained. "They only felt safe enough to come forward recently because they're now in protective custody. With me." Lieutenant Mills tapped her fingers on her desk, thinking. "Look, Morrison, I'll open an investigation. But I need to be honest with you. This kind of case is complicated. It happened in unregulated space between stations. It's going to be your 2 refugees' word against a ship captain who probably has fake documentation and witnesses who will lie for him. Unless we can find other victims or hard evidence, it's going to be tough to make charges stick. I understand, Jake said, but at least it'll be on record. And if he tries anything while he's docked here, you'll have background information to work with. Fair enough. Keep your kids somewhere secure. I'll have patrol units swing by your residential sector more often until this Vex character leaves the station. Over the next 2 days, tension ran high in Jake's apartment. Kira barely slept. Every unexpected sound made her jump. Lena stayed close to her sister, her recent progress seeming to vanish under the weight of renewed fear. She wet the bed one night, something she had not done in weeks, and was so ashamed that she cried for an hour. Jake rearranged his work schedule to spend more time at home. Danny helped keep watch, noting when crew members from the Broken Star moved through common areas of the station. They were careful, never approaching directly, just gathering information. The confrontation finally came on the 3rd day. Jake was returning from a supply run, carrying bags of food for the apartment. He was walking down his corridor when he spotted a Torvon in worn Spacer's clothing, standing near his door. The alien was clearly checking the area, looking for something or someone. The Torvon's scaled head turned. His eyes, cold and reptilian, locked onto Jake. There was a calculating intelligence in that gaze, the look of a predator sizing up potential prey. "You are Morrison," the Torvon said. It was not a question. "And you're in a residential area where you don't belong," Jake replied evenly. He kept his body language neutral, not aggressive but not backing down either. "Are you lost?" "Not at all." The Torvon's mouth opened in what might have been a smile, showing rows of sharp teeth. "I heard an interesting rumor. 2 Volari cubs that I transported months ago somehow ended up on this station. And somehow they ended up in your care. Quite a coincidence, wouldn't you say?" Jake kept his voice calm. "If you have information about refugee trafficking, you should report it to station security. I'm sure they would be very interested in your story." Vex's smile widened. "No need for threats, human. I just wanted to make sure we understand each other. Those cubs saw things during their transport, things that might be misunderstood if reported to the wrong people. It would be unfortunate if their memories proved too detailed." "Very unfortunate. Are you threatening 2 children?" Jake asked quietly. His voice was soft, but there was steel underneath. "Not threatening," Vex said smoothly. "Simply expressing concern for their well-being. Accidents happen on space stations all the time. Airlocks malfunction. People fall from high places, especially people who don't know when to keep their mouths shut." Before Jake could respond, a new voice interrupted them. "I've recorded this entire conversation," Danny said. He stepped out from an adjacent corridor, his datapad held up prominently. "Including the part where you just threatened minors in the care of a station resident. You want to say anything else for the record, or are you done?" Vex's expression darkened. His cold eyes flicked between Jake and Danny, assessing the situation. He was smart enough to recognize when things had turned against him. "This isn't over," he hissed. His voice was low and full of venom. "Actually, it is," Danny said. "Security's been looking for reasons to investigate your ship. Smuggling reports, immigration violations, that sort of thing. This recording gives them probable cause. I'd say you have about 10 minutes before they show up to detain you for questioning." Vex stared at them for another long moment. Then he turned and walked away quickly, his tail swishing behind him in what seemed like agitation or anger. Danny waited until the Torvon was completely out of sight before lowering his datapad. "Got every word. That should be enough for Lieutenant Mills to at least bring him in." Jake felt some of the tension leave his shoulders. "Thank you. I owe you." "You owe me about 5 favors at this point," Danny said with a grin. "But who's counting? Come on, let's get this recording to security before our scaly friend decides to undock early." They went straight to the security office. Lieutenant Mills watched the recording 3 times, her expression growing more serious with each viewing. By the evening, Vex and several of his crew members were in security custody, being questioned about trafficking operations and other illegal activities. A search of the Broken Star turned up. 6 months passed after Vex's arrest. The case against him and his crew uncovered something much bigger than anyone expected. The investigation revealed a whole network of criminals operating along the frontier routes, trafficking refugees and smuggling illegal goods. Multiple arrests were made across several stations. Jake and the girls received official commendations from Station Administrator Helen Price, who had warmed considerably once she saw how committed Jake was to the children's welfare. Life had transformed in ways Jake never could have imagined. Kira turned 17 and got a real job. She worked as a junior technician in the station's environmental systems department. Her supervisor, a gruff engineer named Pete Logan, praised her constantly. He said she had a natural talent for understanding complex systems and fixing problems quickly. Kira saved every credit she earned. She had plans for the future now, real plans that extended beyond just surviving another day. She talked about maybe attending a proper engineering school someday, about building a career and a life. Lena was attending in-person classes at the station's small school now. She had flourished. The shy, frightened child who used to cry from hunger had become confident and curious. Her friendship with Sophie had expanded to include several other children. She joined the school's science club and became one of the best students in mathematics. But the most significant change came on a Tuesday afternoon in April. Jake was at work, reviewing inventory logs for the day's shipments, when his communicator chimed with an incoming call. The signal showed it was marked urgent. The source identifier indicated it was from the Valari Refugee Coordination Center on one of the core worlds. Jake's heart started beating faster. He answered the call immediately. A Valari woman appeared on the small screen. Her silver-blue face was professional but kind. "Mr. Morrison," she said, "my name is Coordinator Vela. We have been attempting to locate Kira and Lena Navari for several months. We have important news regarding their parents." Jake felt his throat go tight. "Are they alive?" The coordinator smiled, and her whole face lit up with genuine joy. "Yes, they are alive. Both of them survived the evacuation of their colony. They have been in a refugee camp on Valaris Prime since the attack. They have been searching desperately for their daughters since the moment they arrived there." Jake felt relief wash over him so powerfully that he had to sit down. "Thank the stars. How did you find them?" "The trafficking investigation brought Kira and Lena's names back into official records," Coordinator Vela explained. Their parents had filed missing persons reports and had been checking databases constantly. "When your names appeared in the case files, our system flagged the match. We made contact with the parents immediately. They are overjoyed. They want to be reunited with their daughters as soon as possible." "Of course," Jake said. His voice sounded strange to his own ears, thick with emotion. "Whatever they need. However we can make this happen. We are arranging transport now," the coordinator said. "It should take approximately 2 to 3 weeks to process all the documentation and book passage. The family will be reunited on Valaris Prime. The parents are sending a message for the girls. I will forward it to you shortly." After the call ended, Jake sat in silence for several minutes. His mind was spinning. This was wonderful news, the best possible outcome. Kira and Lena would be reunited with their parents. They would be a family again. But Jake also felt something else, something he was almost ashamed to acknowledge. Loss. Grief. The knowledge that the 2 girls who had become his family would be leaving. He pushed those selfish feelings aside. This was not about him. This was about 2 children who had spent months believing they were orphans, who had endured unimaginable hardship, who deserved to be with their real family. That evening, Jake came home early from work. Kira and Lena were in the living room. Kira was helping Lena with homework while dinner cooked in the kitchen. They looked up when he entered, and Kira immediately noticed something was different. "What is wrong?" she asked, standing up. "You look strange. Has something happened?" Jake sat down and gestured for them to join him. "Something has happened, good news. The best news possible." He told them about the call from Coordinator Vela. He told them that their parents were alive, that they had been searching, that they wanted their daughters back. For a long moment, there was complete silence. Lena stared at him like she did not understand the words. Kira's face went through a series of expressions, shock and disbelief and hope all mixed together. Then Lena screamed. It was a scream of pure joy. She burst into tears and launched herself at Jake, wrapping her arms around him. Her whole body shook with sobs, but they were happy sobs this time. Kira stood frozen for several more seconds. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. Then her legs gave out and she collapsed to the floor. Jake caught her before she fell completely, and she clung to him, crying so hard that her whole body shook. "They are alive," she said between sobs. "Our parents are alive. They did not die. They were looking for us. All this time they were looking. They were, Jake confirmed. His own voice was rough with emotion. They never stopped searching. They never gave up on you. They stayed like that for a long time, the three of them holding each other while Kira and Lena cried out months of grief and fear and desperate hope. Eventually they moved to the couch. Jake played the message from their parents. 2 Valari adults appeared on the screen. The man was tall with silver hair and warm purple eyes. The woman was smaller with darker blue skin and the same gentle features as her daughters. Both of them had tears running down their faces. Kira. Lena, the man said. His voice broke on their names. If you are seeing this, it means you are alive. It means you are safe. We have been searching for you every day since we lost you. We never stopped believing we would find you. We love you so much. We are coming for you. We will be together again soon. The woman spoke next. My precious daughters, we are so sorry. We are sorry we let go of your hands. We are sorry you have been alone and scared. But that is over now. Soon you will be home with us. Soon we will hold you again. Be strong just a little longer. We are coming, the message ended. Lena was crying so hard she could barely breathe. Kira held her sister close, her own tears falling steadily. Over the next few weeks, preparations began. Video calls were arranged, so the family could see and talk to each other. The first call was chaos. Everyone crying and talking at once, trying to fit months of separation into minutes of connection. Jake met Kira and Lena's parents through the video link. Moran and Tessa Navari thanked him with such intensity that he felt uncomfortable. You saved our daughters, Moran said. His voice was thick with emotion. You gave them safety when they had none. You protected them. You cared for them. We can never repay such a debt. You don't owe me anything, Jake said. I just did what anyone should do. But so few would have, Tessa said gently. Her eyes were kind and knowing. You saw children in need and you helped them without asking for anything in return. That is the definition of honor and goodness. After the call, Jake excused himself and went to his room. He sat on his bed and put his face in his hands. The reality of the situation was hitting him hard now. In a few weeks, Kira and Lena would be gone. The apartment would be empty and quiet again. The life he had built with them would be over. He felt ashamed of his selfishness. He should be purely happy for them. He was happy for them. But he was also grieving the loss of his family. There was a soft knock on his door. Kira entered without waiting for permission. She sat beside him on the bed. You are sad, she said. It was not a question. Jake did not try to deny it. I'm happy for you and Lena, truly I am. You deserve to be with your parents. But I'm also going to miss you both terribly. This apartment became a home because you were in it. Kira was quiet for a moment. Then she took his hand in both of hers. Do you remember what I told you about Kethril? She asked. About chosen family? That bond does not break because of distance. You will always be our family. You will always have a place with us. I know, Jake said. I know that in my head, but my heart is still struggling with it. Then listen to your heart, Kira said. Listen to what it is telling you. You love us. We love you. That is real. That matters. And it will continue to matter even when we are far apart. She leaned against his shoulder, and they sat together in silence. After a while, Lena came in too. She crawled onto the bed and settled on Jake's other side. The three of them sat there, this strange little family, holding on to each other while they could. The day of departure arrived too quickly. Jake took the day off from work. He helped Kira and Lena pack their belongings. They had accumulated much more than the nothing they had arrived with. Clothes and books and data pads, Lena's drawings and school projects, Kira's certification documents and work uniforms. At the transport gate, they waited for the boarding call. The dock was busy with travelers, but Jake barely noticed anyone else. His attention was completely focused on the 2 girls who had changed his life. When the announcement came for boarding, Lena threw herself at Jake. She wrapped her arms around his waist and refused to let go. Her small body shook with sobs. I do not want to leave you, she cried. Her voice was muffled against his shirt. You are family too. I want to stay with you. Jake knelt down so he was at her level. 3 months after Kira and Lena left, Jake's life had returned to a routine of sorts. He went to work at the cargo docks each day. He came home to his quiet apartment each evening. He ate simple meals and watched entertainment programs on his data pad. Everything was back to the way it had been before two alien girls had entered his life, except it was not the same at all. The apartment felt too quiet now, too empty. Jake found himself listening for sounds that no longer came. Lena's laughter, Kira's voice as she studied, the soft murmur of them speaking their native language to each other. He left Lena's drawings on the refrigerator. He kept Kira's organizing system in the storage closets, small reminders that they had been real, that those months had not been a dream. His co-workers noticed the change in him. He was quieter now, more withdrawn. Danny tried to get him to come to the station bar after shifts, but Jake usually declined. He preferred to go home even if home was empty. He exchanged messages with Kira and Lena regularly. They sent him updates about their new life on Valaris Prime. Lena had started at a new school and was doing well. She had joined another science club and was making friends. Kira was continuing her education and talking about applying to engineering programs. The messages were happy, full of good news and gratitude. But they also made Jake's chest ache. He missed them. He missed being part of their daily lives. One evening in late July, Jake was sorting through old work files when his communicator chimed. It was a video call from Valaris Prime. He answered immediately. Kira and Lena appeared on the screen, both smiling widely. Behind them, Jake could see a comfortable living space with large windows showing a blue sky. "Jake," Lena squealed. "Guess what? We have news." "What news?" Jake asked, unable to help smiling at her excitement. "Our parents want to meet you," Kira said, "in person. They want to invite you to visit us here on Valaris Prime. They want to thank you properly for everything you did." Jake felt surprised. "They don't need to thank me. I was happy to help." "We know," Kira said, "but this is important to them. And to us, we want you to see our home. We want you to meet our parents face to face. We want you to be part of our lives here, not just through messages. Please come," Lena begged. "Please, Jake, we miss you." Jake felt his resistance crumbling. He had been thinking about visiting but had hesitated, not wanting to intrude on their reunion with their parents. But hearing the genuine desire in their voices, seeing how much it meant to them, he could not refuse. "Okay," he said. "I'll request time off from work and book transport. It might take a few weeks to arrange everything." Both girls cheered. They talked excitedly about all the things they would show him, all the places they would take him. Jake found himself actually looking forward to the trip, feeling a spark of something he had not felt in months. Hope. Anticipation. It took 3 weeks to get everything arranged. Station Administrator Helen Price approved his vacation request without hesitation. She had softened considerably toward him after seeing the outcome of his involvement with Kira and Lena. "You did something good, Morrison," she said when she signed his request. "Those girls are thriving because of you. Go visit your family." The journey to Valaris Prime took 4 days on a commercial transport. Jake spent the time reading about Valari culture and trying to learn some basic phrases in their language. He wanted to be able to speak to Kira and Lena's parents properly, to show respect for their culture. When the ship finally docked at the orbital station above Valaris Prime, Jake felt nervous in a way he had not expected. What if the parents did not actually like him? What if seeing him reminded them of the terrible time when their daughters had been lost? What if his presence made things awkward? He took a shuttle down to the planet's surface. Valaris Prime was beautiful, with crystal blue skies and silver forests that shimmered in the sunlight. The architecture was elegant, all flowing curves and delicate structures that seemed to blend with the natural environment. Kira and Lena were waiting at the arrival terminal. The moment they saw him, both girls ran toward him. Lena reached him first, throwing herself into his arms with such force that he stumbled backward. Kira was right behind her, and suddenly Jake was surrounded by both of them, holding them close while they laughed and cried at the same time. "You came," Lena said. "You really came." "Of course I came," Jake said. "I promised, didn't I?" Behind the girls, 2 adult Valari approached more slowly. Jake recognized them from the video calls. Miran was tall with silver hair and kind eyes. Tessa was smaller with darker blue skin and delicate features. Both of them looked at Jake with expressions of deep emotion. Kira stepped back and gestured to her parents. "Jake, these are our parents. Mother, father, this is Jake Morrison." Jake was not sure of the proper greeting. He started to extend his hand for a handshake, but Tessa stepped forward and embraced him instead. The gesture surprised him, but he returned the hug carefully. "Thank you," Tessa said. Her voice was thick with emotion. "Thank you for saving our daughters. Thank you for giving them back to us." Miran embraced him next, his grip strong and sincere. "You are family now," he said firmly. "You are always welcome in our home. Always." They took Jake to their house in a quiet residential area outside the capital city. The house was modest but comfortable, with large windows that let in natural light and a garden full of native plants. Inside, it felt warm and lived in, with Lena's school projects on display and Kira's technical manuals scattered on tables. Over the next week, Jake learned what it meant to be part of a Valari family. They included him in everything. Meals together where everyone talked and laughed. Evening walks in the gardens. Trips to local markets and historical sites. They wanted him to understand their world, to see where Kira and Lena came from. One evening after the girls had gone to bed, Jake sat with Miran and Tessa on their back porch. The sky was full of stars, different constellations than those visible from the station, but just as beautiful. "I need you to understand something," Miran said. "What you did for our daughters, it was more than just keeping them alive. You gave them hope when they had none. You taught them that they were worth helping, worth protecting. That is a gift beyond measure." "They taught me things too," Jake said. "They reminded me what matters in life: connection, family, taking care of each other." Tessa smiled. "Kira told us about Kethral, about how she considers you chosen family. She was right to do so. You have earned that place through your actions. In our culture," Myron added, "Kethral is sacred. It is a bond that can never be broken. You are part of our family now, Jake Morrison, not because of obligation or debt, but because we choose it, because you have proven yourself worthy of that bond." Jake felt emotion tighten his throat. "I don't know what to say." "Say that you will visit again," Tessa said gently. "Say that you will let us be part of your life as you are part of ours. Say that distance will not break what we have built." "I promise," Jake said. "All of that. I promise." A few days later, Jake attended a formal ceremony at Miran and Tessa's home. Extended family and close friends gathered to witness what Miran explained was a Kethral recognition ceremony. It was a traditional way of formally acknowledging someone as chosen family. Jake stood before the gathered Valari, while Miran spoke words in their native language. Then Tessa placed a silver pendant around Jake's neck. The pendant was engraved with symbols that Kira later explained represented family, honor, and eternal bonds. "You are one of us now," Miran said in English for Jake's benefit. "You are family in all ways that matter. Our home is your home. Our hearts hold you as one of our own." Everyone present placed their hands over their hearts in the traditional gesture of respect and love. Jake did the same, feeling the weight and significance of the moment. That night he sat with Kira and Lena under the stars in the garden. "Are you happy here?" he asked them. "Yes," Kira said immediately. "Being with our parents again, it is everything we dreamed of during those terrible months. But we miss you too. We miss our life on the station with you." "You can have both," Jake said. "You can have your parents and your home here, and you can still have me. I'll visit as often as I can, and you can come visit me too once you're a bit older and can travel independently." "Promise?" Lena asked. She had grown taller in the past 3 months, but she was still the same sweet girl who loved math and science. "Promise," Jake confirmed. "We're family now. Nothing changes that." On his last day before returning to the station, Jake said goodbye to everyone. Tessa and Miran gave him gifts to take back. Food from their culture, photographs of the family, and a traditional Valari tapestry woven with intricate patterns. "This tapestry is a symbol," Tessa explained. "It represents Kethral bonds. Hang it in your home to remember that you are never truly alone. We are with you, always." At the spaceport, the goodbyes were tearful but different from the last time. There was no desperate clinging, no fear that they might never see each other again. This was simply farewell until the next visit. "Thank you for coming," Kira said, hugging Jake tightly. "Thank you for being part of our lives. Thank you for being family. Thank you for letting me be part of this," Jake replied. "Thank you for choosing me," Lena hugged him next, her arms strong around his waist. "Come back soon, okay? Don't make us wait too long, I won't."